Story 1. Heartstopper deeply affected me, cisgender straight female in 30s. Hi all, I was lead to this group when I was originally on the Heartstopper Netflix Reddit and saw someone post about having deep feelings after watching this show. I was looking for something like this because I was deeply moved after watching this show in ways I did not think were possible. I watch a lot of TV, and nothing in recent memory has made me so happy and so sad at the same time. I am a married, cisgender 33-year-old female, and I'm straight. I'm married to a straight, cisgender man. Of a similar age. I've never suspected that I am even bisexual, or anything else along the rainbow, so I don't think my feelings are regarding anything repressed about my sexuality. After thinking through it for a while, and crying myself to sleep last night, here are the reasons I think this might have caused such a reaction. 1. I remember initially being deliriously happy while watching Nick and Charlie's relationship unfold on screen, but I remember the first thought I had in a sad manner was that I can't believe that so many LGBTIQA+ were denied this sort of first love relationship during their teens because of how absolutely hateful the world is. That actually makes me feel like I want to cry and vomit at the same time. 2. Nick and Charlie's relationship reminded me of similar feelings that I had when I was first in love, but it also brought back the crushing memories of how depressing it was when I was broken up with and how I don't feel like I ever recovered from some of the insecurities I developed from that. It also reminded me of the love I had with my husband when we first started dating in our teens and how our relationship is much more of a deep, understanding love, but less of a love with fireworks like in the honeymoon phase. 3. Nick is both an attractive and perfect partner that in my opinion, rarely exists. The perfect love and treatment he shows toward Charlie is idealized, and whether or not you know it and understand it, it makes you sad about the imperfections in your own relationships. 4. Seeing their close-knit friend group took me back to when I was younger and I had closer friendships with people. All of my friends are having kids now, and we don't plan to have any. I see people less, and I really miss the good times with my friends. 4. I'd be curious to hear from people that were deeply affected by this show for similar reasons, and also if they are not part of the rainbow. To be honest, I feel a bit silly and not relevant for having these feelings considering I am not LGBTIQA+, as I can see from reading other posts from this group how the affect of the show is much greater being that so many of you were denied these types of relationships, friendships, and positive coming out experiences as the show reflects in such an overall positive light. I support you, I love you, and I'm in pain with you. Comment 1. The beauty of this show is that regardless of sexuality or gender even it is able to bring about so many emotions. A great TV show does that, it stays with you and brings up feelings that are sometimes forgotten about. Comment 2. Beauty is the right word for this show, definitely. It is one of the purest, loveliest portrayals of love I have ever seen. I think it is a great reminder of our humanness in how it brings up such strong emotions in all of us. Comment 3. Your first point is completely hits the nail on the head. As a gay guy in my mid-30s, one of the things I've connected with this series on is that sense of finding love during that age. My high school experience would have been so much different had I been out and open about who I was then. And probably not for the better, tbh. There were people I was in school with that were also in the closet back then, and I've talked with them and we all agree we felt like we were kept from having the experiences that our friends were all able to have. I dated a few girls but it never felt correct for me, and I always wished I could have experienced dating guys back then instead of starting at 25, but I know my high school days would have been hell had I been out. Comment 4. I understand your decision to have not come out at that point, as clearly we went to high school around the same time and both know people were even less accepting back then than they are now. I was talking to one of my friends a few days ago about how we knew people we suspected as gay in high school who didn't come out until college or even later, and I'm quite sure their reasoning was similar to yours, in the event that you might have all had a horrible experience with it like Charlie. Especially since I went to a private religious school. The whole thing makes me incredibly sad though. I am so upset that you felt like you could not be fully yourself back then. I know things are nowhere near perfect now, but I hope your current life situation allows you to fully be yourself and happy with your life. Wishing you the best. When I was trying to figure out my emotional reaction, I came to the words, grief, and nostalgia. Grieving myself at that age, that innocence, and the time in my life where that butterfly-like love was the only thing I truly cared about. And feeling nostalgic for the same reason. I have only ever dated guys. I am a 27-year-old female, and I was so deeply affected by this show. I haven't fully exited the emotional spiral or slight obsession. I am reading all the books now. It feels like an escape into their world, which makes me both happy and sad. Just ranting now, lol. But you're not alone. There have been other straight people post in this group. Obviously the show has hit a nerve in many people for many reasons. Story 2. Post-Heartstopper Syndrome. I am so relieved to find this group. I have a wife and 2 beautiful children and my life really couldn't be more wholesome, so I should be totally fine and happy. I watched Heartstopper this week and I have been thrown into a full depression and even disassociation with reality, worst I've been in 5 years. After finding this group, I find comfort in not being the only queer that has had so much trauma come out of what feels nowhere after watching this. Every episode that was released I saw so much of myself. I miss that feeling of the butterflies and all the joy through adversity, the feeling of being young and in love. But I think the bad things that come with this have really messed me up, the pain of hiding in plain sight, the fear of rejection and what people would think. I wish so bad I had that Nick and Charlie love experience. I am struggling to let go of what could have been. I felt so content when I kissed a girl for the first time when I was 20, I knew it was how I am. But my relationships were never in the way that was as romantic as Nick and Charlie's cute meet. I was in my 20s, was on dating apps in secret, always protecting my phone, and was in the closet from my family, even some friends, for years. I wish that what Charlie and Nick had could have been my life as a teen, and maybe things would have been better through those rough years. It's crazy, but I can't let the show go after 48 hours of finishing it now, and want to rewatch it again even though I know it's probably not good for my mental stability right now. Looking for some advice from others who have also lived the post-Heartstopper depression, and need someone to give me a good reminder that it is fictional and not real. On a lighter note, I hope Nick and Charlie's world might be close to a reality my kids could live in during their teens. Comment 1. Hi, no worries, you are not alone, there are so many people who experience the same. I was talking to my therapist about HSS and she kind of embraced the experiences I make while watching the show. She said it's okay if I watch the show over and over again because it makes me think about my past in a different way. It's a mourning process, yes, but realizing that this beautiful moments of queer love were taken away from me because of society and stuff make me think more kind about myself. Like I was very hard with myself, 'cause I never got in, everyone called me weird, I could not decide whether I am into boys or girls, all that stuff. Alex is struggling with things. I don't know if I put that out right, to express myself in English is quite hard for me. Sorry for mistakes and funny words. Comment 2. This is just my 2 cents. I was listening to a podcast about perfectionism the other day, and before that I listened to another podcast about trying to accept my past. I want to relate this to Heartstopper syndrome as I experienced it, and I think you had a similar experience. I feel like watching Heartstopper made me feel like my own past experiences wasn't perfect. It made me feel like I wanted my own Nick. I want to be a student in Truham. It made me feel like I would only be perfect if I was in Charlie's situation. Back to podcasts I was listening to, it made me realize that these hopes and wants can never happen and it can never manifest, and I have felt depression and despair because I wanted my past to be perfect. I realize that wanting my life to be exactly like a fictional work didn't make much sense. Comment 3. It's okay to grieve the love stories we didn't get as young queer babies and be nourished by fictional utopias. If you're having really tough feelings about not expressing your full authentic self, I recommend you learn the languages of queer identity and polyamory so that you may request from your partner the space and freedom to explore pursuing the loves you have not yet had. There are ways to have happy, healthy families that don't fall apart by exploring queerness while already married and raising Kiddos. My parents' marriage broke apart, but looking back, had they had more tools available to them, they have both said they would have tended the home and given each other the room to explore. I truly feel for you. I see how big your heart is and wish you the best. Comment 4. Most people don't have that kind of romance, but I get what you're feeling. It's a nostalgia for what you never had yourself. You OBV can't go back and be a teenager, but why not use the time and emotion to make your relationship with your wife as good as possible, including also thinking about opening up to her about not being classically hetero. Funnel this energy positively. You could watch Heartstopper with her, or buy the books, comics. Talk to her, consider joining a queer book club, or something. This could be the start of a while new you, a whole new relationship with your wife and new friends. You never know, maybe she too might disclose some stuff about her, you never know.